What a beautiful snowy morning. It's a good day to start a video about Volkswagen transmissions, don't you think? Hey, EZGZ here. Sorry to keep you waiting, but I didn't know how to begin. Let me take you off the camera stand here. And you know, this was kind of like the monster garage. I've just been trying real hard to figure out how to present this information in a logical manner that makes sense, and I've gone over it too many times. I've overanalyzed it, I've overthought it. I think we need to approach it just like cleaning the garage. Let's just pick a corner and get it cleaned up and then go on to the next one. The general gist of it here is due to Rusty. Rusty is our Baja, and we, like most Bajas, want more ground clearance. We want larger back tires. That's the easiest way to get ground clearance, but that changes your gear ratio. Most of the late model IRS sedan transmissions come with 412, and possibly the later ones came with the 388 Freeway Flyer. Now, you've heard it said, maybe you haven't, that all the insides, you know, the gears are all the same. Not entirely true, but the general concept is here. Now, first of all, let's just kind of look at some different transmissions. This one here on the stand, this is an IRS sedan tranny. What makes it IRS is this flange here. This is where your CV joint goes in, and then your axle goes out. The earlier models, 68 and earlier, used this swing axle design, and there was no CV joint. The axle went into the side of the transmission. It was covered by a tube, and it went up and down. Your tire didn't always stay perfectly flat, but they were lighter cars with skinnier tires and a little bit simpler, a little less horsepower. Let's face it, the best way to get economy and performance is lighter weight, a better horsepower to weight ratio. And although this is extremely strong, and what most of the racers use, because of the lighter weight and the strength, these long axles twist. They act like torsion bars in a sense. Maybe not in that extreme, but it helps take up some of the shock. So I know that everybody would like to know about racing transmissions and racing gears. So let's kind of give you a teaser on that. Our goal is to install this newly purchased 437 ring and pinion into a sedan transmission. It may not be this sedan transmission. This sedan tranny was given to me, and it was pulled out of somebody's trailer, and I thought maybe it was alright. But to begin with, I took the nose cone off, and I saw a lot of corrosion, and the nose cone base was broken. The hockey stick shifting shaft is bent, and we're going to go ahead and pull it apart, take a look inside anyhow. It'll make things easier to film as I go along. As I've told you before, it's best if you can use a transmission out of a car you've driven so you can tell if it stays in gear, if it's noisy, if it jumps out of gear, how it shifts, if the synchronizers, when it's hot, when it's cold. That's the best way to go, because then you know what specifically to look for ahead of time. Going into an unknown transmission like this can be a little bit tricky, and I'll show you why as we go along. Now, I've already brought some stuff over here to the bench because I wanted to tease you with some race stuff. Everybody wants race stuff. So let's kind of look at the difference between an IRS transmission and that swing axle transmission, and why, another reason why the racers like them. If you look at this ring gear and differential housing, you see the size of that one, and you see the size of this one. You see the size of the gear that holds your CV joint, flange, and you can see how much bigger this bearing is. Now, those are tapered needle bearings, and you have a different type of a contact area, but when you move things farther out, you get a little bit more leverage. And as we showed you, if you eliminate those trailing arms, the diagonal arms that come out to support the bearing on the end of the spring plate where the other CV joint sits on the outer axle, you've eliminated all that, and you've got this type of a setup. It's lighter weight, and you can see your spider gears inside here. Now, a race application. Between these two, let's look at the differences here. This is a snap ring differential. That's what the factory used. They used a large snap ring in here, and that's what held. You have a side gear that drops in here. You have some shims, and then you've got a snap ring. Here's the type of gear. It went down inside your Fulcrum plates sat in that. We're going to look at this stuff up close later, but I've just given you a rough draft of it now. Have to start someplace. Now, on a racing unit, you use a threaded. You can use a snap ring. They make them both ways. If you have to do field repairs, you'll be happy that you have the snap ring. But you're going to build a bulletproof transmission, and you're not going to have that issue. Now, let's just look. Other than the shine and the bling, you see that this is probably made, this is out of cast, this is out of a steel, a little different type of steel. Your end's threaded, the machining's a little different. You don't have this big hole in the middle, it's solid. That all helps. It's pre-drilled so that you can use 4 spider gears in it instead of 2. And you can add a kit to add 2 more spider gears. I will show you that later on. But just for now, just to look at the comparison. Look inside here. This is where your gear, your side gear, you can look at the bearing there. Look at the oil grooves. And now we look at the stock one. Does not have those oil grooves. It's okay. Really, the only time those come into play is when you're going around a corner, if for some reason you have different sized tires. You're going in a straight line, especially down a quarter mile. Hopefully, these aren't moving around and turning. You're going straight. Both sides are going the same speed. There have been individuals that have even welded the spool, a welded spool. This would be what you refer to as the spool. And here you can see the ring gear on it, and they would weld the side of it. So now when you go around a corner, if you're on pavement, your tires are going to be dragging and chirping, and you've probably seen Jeeps when they get their lockers in and they come into town, forget to take them out, go around a corner. You hear them. Now, most of these are all solid when you buy them, and I put this hole in it right here little belly button lint in there. And I put it in there in such a direction with a large hole on one side and a smaller hole on the other side. Since your differential, if you're looking at the car from the back, it'd look like this. And since it's spinning, what I wanted it to do was to pick up oil, and just the fact of this rotating through the oil would force more oil in the large hole and out the small hole, and you'd be lubricating those gears that you see inside. So one side is left-hand thread, and once you get it in position, and this is nice having the threaded sides, because you get it set with just the right clearance, and then you drill it and you knock a pin in it, and then when you put your bearing on over the top of it, it holds the pin in place, and that puppy shouldn't be going anyplace. Okay, now we'll go over this stuff a little closer, a little more detail as we actually do the take apart and installation on the actual unit itself. But for right now, just wanted to give you that little teaser. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subbing. EZGZ out.